So let's define what is pop art. Pop art is a movement that emerged in the mid 20th century in which artists incorporated commonplace objects. We can usually see it through comic strips, soup cans, newspaper, and more. The art the pop art movement aimed to solidify the idea that art can draw from any source and there is no hierarchy of culture to disrupt this. So, why is it called pop art? In reference to its intended popular appeal and its engagement with popular culture, it is called pop art. Pop artists strove for straightforwardness in their work, using bold swathes of primary colors, often straight from the can or tube of paint. Why does pop art use bright colors? It is because of its ability to grab attention quickly.
The history of pop art, 1950s to the 1970s. Pop art was born in Britain in mid 1950s. It was the brainchild of several young, subversive artists, as most modern art tends to be. The first application of the term pop art occurred during discussions among artists who called themselves the Independent Group or IG, which was part of the Institute of Contemporary Art in London. Began around 1952 to 1953. Pop art appreciates popular culture or what we also call material culture. It does not critique the consequences of materialism and consumerism. It, it simply recognizes its pervasive presence as a natural fact. Acquiring consumer goods responding to clever back then. Movies, television, newspapers, and magazines. Galvanized energy among young people born during the post-World War II generation rebelling against the esoteric vocabulary of abstract art. They wanted to express their optimism in a youthful visual language. Responding to so much hardship and privation, pop art celebrated the united generation of shopping. Roots in Dada. Dada pioneer Marcel Duchamp pushed Picasso's consumerist ploy further by introducing the actual mass-produced object into the exhibition. A bottle rock, a snow shovel, a urinal upside down. He called these objects ready made an anti-art expression that belonged to the Dada movement. Neo-Dada or early pop art or artists followed the Champ's lead in the 1950s by returning to imagery during the height of abstract expressionism and purposely selecting low-brow popular imagery. They also incorporated or produced three-dimensions objects. Jasper Johns, beer cans, 1960, and Robert Ruth Ruschenberg, bed, 1955, are two cases in point. This work was called Neo Dada during its formative years. Today we might call it pre-pop art or early pop art.
So, the British pop art. In Britain, pop art developed out of the ideas discussed by the independent group which first met in 1952. They wanted to make art that was more inclusive of popular culture. Their artworks used source materials from pop culture including advertising, car design, science fiction comics, movies, and scientific books. American pop art. Andy Warhol understood shopping and he also understood the allure of celebrity. Together, these post World War II obsessions drove the economy. From shopping malls to People's Magazine, Warhol captured an authentic American aesthetic, packaging products and people. It was an insightful observation. Public display ruled, and everyone wanted his often 15 minutes of fame. There are several readily recognizable characteristics that art critics use to define pop art. It's recognizable imagery drawn from popular media and products, and then it usually uses very bright colors. The flood imagery influenced by comic books and also newspaper photographs. Images of celebrities or fictional characters in comic books, advertisements, and also a fun magazine. By creating paintings or sculpture of mass culture objects and media stars, the pop art movement aimed to blur the boundaries between high art and low culture. The concept that there is no hierarchy of culture and that art may borrow from any source has been one of the most influential characteristics of pop art. It could be argued that the abstract expressionist search for the trauma in the soul, while the pop artist search for traces of the same trauma in the media world of advertising, cartoons, and popular imagery at large. But it is perhaps more precise to say that pop artists were the first to recognize that there is no unmediated access to anything, be it the soul, the natural world, or the built environment. Pop artists believe that everything is interconnected and therefore sought to make this connection literal in their artwork. Some of the most famous pop artists began their careers in commercial art. For example, Andy Warhol was a highly successful magazine illustrator and graphic designer. And then Ed Rushka was also a graphic designer. And James Rosenkust started his career as a billboard painter. Their background in the commercial art world trained them in the visual vocabulary of mass culture as well as the techniques to seamlessly merge the realms of high art and popular culture. Thank you for watching our short video report about the art history of pop art. I am Miss Ispolgar and together with my partner Miss Palugut, good day and God bless.